Hey, so this is Steve Jacobson and Tiffany again from Opinium. This is the second video in our series of how to really rock it out from working from home. So let's jump into it. As we talked about in the last video, if you actually watched it, we talked about having your meetings be for 45 minutes, and so you can always end them about 5 minutes. So this one is really important. Always get to the meeting 5 minutes before. Here's the thing. People are going to start joining 5-10 minutes before, and you don't want them to be there and not have any host. You don't want them to not have a good experience. You don't want it to be, say, waiting for the host. It gives them a bad impression, and the meeting didn't start on a good foot. So always get there. I recommend trying 10 minutes, but that's not always possible. But always be on that call 5 minutes before. So when people come in, you're there to introduce yourself. And it gives you an opportunity to kind of have that social, that human element, that you can talk to them before the meeting actually starts, kind of ask their name, maybe talk about something fun, but you got to be human, right? You got to have that interaction. So always, always, always get there 5 minutes before.
All right. So this is Tiffany, and one of the most important things about making that inner connection with people, that personal relationship.
Tiffany, come on, let's get human here. Can you turn your video on? I can't see you. I'm just looking at your beautiful
Oh, right.
Yeah, there you
Yes.
are.
How about
Okay.
now? Can you see me?
I can. I got
All
you.
right. So obviously it's a much better interaction when you can have your video on. We work with team members across the world. I'm in Atlanta, Steve's in California. We have team members in Europe and in Australia. And so it really makes a difference when you turn that video on and you can make it personal. So not only turn your video on, but stay on, because when you go off video, all of a sudden you lose that personal connection. So turn it on and stay on. And next item is, when you're talking, it's great. Obviously, you're not on mute, but if you're an observer and all of a sudden you get asked a question, so, hey, Steve, can you help me answer this question? Well, if you have turned your mute on, it's going to be hard for you to rejoin that call. So Steve, are you there? Are you there? Did I?
Oh gosh, I'm sorry. Wait. What were you asking me? What were you asking me?
Yeah, so Steve, I really wanted you to answer that question, but it's a little late.
Well, hey guys, I'm sorry. We've all done that, right? I mean, come on. Every one of us has done that where you're multitasking and someone asks you a question and next thing you know, you're kind of like, oh, right? And then you say something silly like, hey, what was that question? Or, oh, you know what? Hold on. Can you ask that question in a different way? You know what you're telling the person? You weren't paying attention. You were not present. You were not there. You know what? You lost credibility. Just keep the video on. Come on, in a business sense, in an in-person meeting, do you ever put a cloak in front of you? Do you ever put like headphones on where you're actually going on mute or something like that? Do you really hide yourself from them? No. Why do we do it here? This is a meeting. People are actually there to meet with you, or you're there to meet with them. Take it seriously, be involved, be present, be human, like be cool. I mean, because the reality, when people put themselves on mute or they hide themselves from me, I feel like they're not really engaged. I feel like they're not doing what I was hoping that was happening in the meeting. And I immediately start to kind of like, well, whatever. So be present, don't be on mute. And if you have to be on mute, tell them why. It's all legit, but keep that video on. It goes back to our first thing. Look good, be ready, be presentable. All right, cool. So
next, so imagine you're listening, and if you were in person in a meeting, you'd be looking up at people, and if you had to take notes, you might look down at your paper to take your notes. But if you're in a meeting and you need to take a note, but it's a video call, it changes the dynamic. As soon as I start looking away from the camera, it looks like I'm not engaged at all. Now I'm actually taking notes, and I am engaged, but I haven't told my audience that I'm taking notes. So if it's something you need to take a note, then tell your audience, hey, listen, you mind? This is really important. I don't want to miss anything. And it's something I want to come back to while we're on the call. Do you mind if I just jot a few notes down as we're talking? So if I look away, know that I'm just jotting down a note so that I can come back to that while we're on the call. At least you've prepared them so they understand you're not disengaged. They know exactly what you're doing.
So I have that same kind of experience, and fortunately, I've got some good hair rocking up here. So what I realized very early on doing this is when I'm on camera, It's super awesome. When I'm in person, I could be sitting here taking notes and I'm looking at you and I'm rocking it out. But let's see this experience when you're talking to me, we're both on video, and I decide to take a note. How incredibly uncomfortable is that? I mean, it was uncomfortable for me. I can only imagine uncomfortable for you. And dude, you're seeing like my whole like hair rocking that out, you know, how far that goes back. I'm not stoked on that. I don't really need to see my receding hairline. But the reality is that's so impersonal, because the reality is I'm sitting here looking down while you're looking here. In an in-person meeting, that's okay. I can be looking at you and looking and going up and down. But in here, you're not like this. That would actually hurt, by the way, but it doesn't look right. So you got to think about all these things that actually matter, that are so human, right? Like you don't think about them because we're so used to being in personal meetings, in-person meetings. But when you do this in this type of forum, you have to think about all the things. That person can only see typically your torso and above. So again, what's better for you to see? This or this? This is why you record the calls. And I know you got to take notes, but remember, every time you take that note, you could be distracting from the conversation. The person on the other side might not feel great about it. So again, thank you guys. This is number 2. We're going to make a few more today, kind of rock this out, but hopefully you guys are enjoying it. And by the way, we got a little subscribe thing here. If you want, you can actually put in your name. We talked about turning off your phone earlier, and it happened just with Tiffany there. But up here, if you just put in your email, we could actually make sure you get any videos that we create. That if you find some fun or find this humorous or just want to mock us, that's okay too. But drop your email in here and we're going to rock that out. Thank you guys. Look forward to the next video.